Civil defence has been on a care and maintenance basis since 1968. Next year it will cost £27 million. But in the Home Office plan, it will increase to £45 million by 1984. As a result, the warning and monitoring systems will be modernised. Civil defence funds for local authorities will double. Surveys will decide which buildings could be used as communal shelters, and advice will be given on what type of family shelter to buy. But can any programme which doesn't give priority to saving people really be called civil defence? Now, in the event of a war, it's increasingly clear that the nation whose population can best weather the Holocaust will emerge the victor. Russia, as some estimate, hopes to limit her casualties to 8% of the population. As their Politburo head of civil defence has said, no fabrications of the bourgeois propagandists can distract us from solving this important task. Britain's population is perhaps not so lucky. Today's Home Office proposals seem most concerned with improving the organisation of the regional centres of government, which, deep underground at 17 headquarters, will try to keep some control over the chaos above after the bomb has dropped. These bunkers are not for the ordinary population. They will be told to stay at home. For in Britain, unlike Switzerland or Sweden, there's no plan for massive civilian protection. After a 20-year programme, the Swiss can now shelter their entire population in bunkers like these. In Britain, we spend less than 50 pence per person per year. Switzerland is neutral. In a nuclear war, nearly all Britain would be a target. In the weeks leading up to war, this booklet would have been distributed to all households, giving instructions on what to do when the threat of a nuclear strike is imminent. It would be supplemented by television broadcasts.
The most widespread danger from nuclear explosions is fallout. Fallout is dust that is sucked up from the ground by the explosion. Fallout can kill. Since it can be carried for great distances by the winds, it can eventually settle anywhere. So no place in the United Kingdom is safer than any other. The risk is as great in the countryside as in the towns. Nobody can tell where the safest place will be. So you are just as safe in your own home area as anywhere else. In fact, you are far better off at home because it is the place you know and where you are known. So, stay where you are.
The booklet gives detailed instructions on how to build in your own home a shelter that gives you a chance of living through the radioactive dust and emerging to face the world after the explosion. Today, Ian Smith followed those instructions.
The first priority is to provide a shelter within your home against radioactive fallout. Your best protection is to make a fallout room and build an inner refuge within it.
Hello, builders merchants.
To provide the strongest possible protection against the penetration of radiation, thick, dense materials are the best.
All right.
Timber, sand, building blocks, books and furniture might all be used.
The best internal wall, I think.
Here are some ideas. Make a lean-to with strong boards rested against an inner wall. Build further protection of sand or boxes of earth on the slope of your refuge. Now let's see what it says about fallout. Fallout is dust that's sucked up from the ground by the explosion. It can be deadly dangerous. Even the safest room in your home is not safe enough, however. You'll need to block up windows in the room and any other openings to provide the strongest possible protection against the penetration of radiation.
The last one. There we are. Right, let's see whether this works.
Now, plan your survival kit. 5 essentials for survival in your fallout room. 1. drinking water.
Water.
You'll need enough water for the family for 14 days.
Slop bucket.
Number 2, food. Stock enough food for 14 days.
Food. Let's take some of this.
The dangers will be so intense that you may need to stay inside your inner refuge for at least 48 hours.
Well, all of those precautions presumably are going to be carried out in the last hours of a crisis, and I just cannot see a situation where we would have enough time or enough materials for the entire country to go out and buy breeze blocks and set about doing this job efficiently and effectively. I think it's a crazy system. If we think about World War II, we had Anson shelters, we had gas masks, and we had gas capes, and we had lots of training pamphlets and booklets and instructions 2 years before the event. Now we have nuclear weapons which are infinitely more powerful and more deadly, and chemical warfare. We're being asked to make do with this.